Being the best doesn't always mean the most beloved. To be beloved by a fan base, you need more than just great stats. You need connection, whether it's loyalty, unforgettable moments, hometown roots, or something else. These players earn their fan base's eternal love. There's not necessarily a correct answer for most of these teams, as the most beloved player can differ vastly by generation, but I'm going to try and look at who fans still love now, as well as looking at historically beloved players. Starting with the New York Yankees, I chose Derek Jeter, my favorite player. While the Yankees have had countless beloved players over the past 100 years with legends like Babe Ruth, Lou Gehrig, Joe DiMaggio, Mickey Mantle, Yogi Berra, and so many more, no player defines modern Yankee baseball like Derek Jeter. Also known as the Captain and Mr. November, over a 20-year career from 1995 to 2014, Jeter became the face of one of the most storied franchises in all of sports. His 3,465 hits ranked 6th all-time, and his postseason heroics like the Philp play, and even some regular season moments like him diving into the stands or the walk-off in his final Yankee Stadium at bat cemented his legend. But it wasn't just these moments, it was the way he carried himself. He was humble, poised, pretty much scandal-free in the tabloid capital of the world. Jeter grew up a Yankees fan and wanted to be the shortstop for the New York Yankees, and I'd say he achieved that goal quite well. You can make arguments for other players, especially Mantle and Ruth, but in the modern day, it's easily Jeter. Boston Red Sox, David Ortiz. The Red Sox didn't win a World Series for over 80 years while having some all-time greats like Ted Williams. Then along came Big Papi, David Ortiz, who came out of nowhere from Minnesota and led Boston to their first World Series in generations in 2004, as well as 2 more championships in 2007 and 2013 where he would have a game-tying grand slam and win World Series MVP. He would be elected to the Hall of Fame in 2022 and has since gone on to do a lot of broadcasting. You could definitely argue Ted Williams is the most beloved of all time, but he hasn't played in a very long time and there definitely is some recency bias. Toronto Blue Jays, Jose Bautista. Jose Bautista went from journeyman to legend seemingly overnight. In 2010, he exploded for 54 home runs after never hitting more than 16 in a season. But it was Game 5 of the 2015 ALDS against the Rangers. After the bat flip heard around the world, elevated him into Blue Jays immortality. He wasn't just a power hitter, he was passionate, fiery, and deeply connected to the fanbase during the team's first success in 20 years. Tampa Bay Rays, Evan Longoria. Drafted 3rd overall in 2006, Evan Longoria didn't just live up to the hype, he carried a young franchise into legitimacy. From winning AL Rookie of the Year in 2008 to leading the Rays to their first World Series appearance, Longoria was the face of the team for a franchise that didn't really have many notable players. No moment defines him more than his walk-off home run in Game 162 of the 2011 season, which capped off one of the most thrilling playoff races in baseball history. He stayed with the small market Rays for a full decade, something fans deeply respect. Baltimore Orioles, Cal Ripken Jr. The Iron Man, the guy who just kept showing up every day for over 16 years, Ripken's record of 2,632 consecutive games played is unbreakable in today's game when guys will set out for stubbing their toe. But more than the streak, Ripken was a homegrown kid who starred for his hometown team and never left. He won Rookie of the Year, 2 MVPs, and even helped the Orioles win the 1983 World Series. His presence after the 1994 strike helped fans heal, and his farewell tour in 2001 was an emotional league-wide celebration. Chicago White Sox, Paul Konerko. Paul Konerko isn't a household name nationwide and doesn't have the same recognition as guys on this list like Jeter or Ortiz, but on the south side of Chicago, he's a living legend. He captained the team through the 2005 World Series run, hitting a key grand slam in Game 2, and always carrying himself with understated confidence. Fans respected his work ethic and loyalty since he turned down opportunities elsewhere to stay in Chicago. When he retired, he didn't just leave a career, he left a legacy, and since his departure, the White Sox have not had anyone close to him. Cleveland Indians, Jim Thome. Sure, Bob Feller is an all-time great, and Kenny Lofton was beloved for speed, but Jim Thome felt like Cleveland. With his massive home run, he was the heart of the late 90s teams that brought the city back to relevance. He mashed 337 home runs as an Indian and was a quiet leader in a wild, talented clubhouse. Even after leaving, he returned for a short, emotional homecoming in 2011, and a statue outside Progressive Field says it all. Detroit Tigers' Al Kaline. Besides having a great name, he was also known as Mr. Tiger and spent all 22 seasons of his Hall of Fame career in Detroit, making 18 All-Star appearances and winning 10 Gold Gloves. Kaline wasn't just the Tigers' best player for a long time, he was the team. He helped win the 1968 World Series and stayed connected to the team for decades afterward, working in the front office and as a broadcaster. Tigers fans saw him as the ultimate role model, talented, classy, and unwaveringly loyal to the Motor City. Kansas City Royals, George Brett. Whether it's his pine tar covered bat, his intensity, or his effortless swing, George Brett is the best player in Royals history and also the most beloved. The only player to win batting titles in 3 different decades, Brett defined Kansas City's golden age in the 70s and 80s. He had a crazy .390 in 1980 and brought the Royals a championship in 1985. He stayed loyal for his entire 21-year career, and even now you'll still catch him cheering on the team from a suite or popping up during spring training. He was also randomly in an episode of Brockmire a few years ago for those of you who watched that. Minnesota Twins, Joe Mauer. Born and raised in St. Paul, drafted first overall by his hometown team, and the only catcher in AL history to win a batting title, and he did it 3 times. Mauer's 2009 MVP season was one for the ages. A .365 average, .444 on base percentage, .587 slugging, and 28 home runs, all while playing elite defense behind the plate. But beyond stats, what made him beloved was his quiet consistency, humility, and lifelong loyalty. He spent his entire 15-year career with the Twins, eventually moving to first base to prolong his tenure. While Kirby Puckett had the flair and rings, Mauer had the homegrown heart. Houston Astros, Jose Altuve. Unlike many players in this video who were very well liked around the MLB, Jose Altuve was the leader of a team that cheated in one of the worst scandals in MLB history. Whether he cheated or not, being a part of that team will always be a dark cloud in his career. However, in Houston, he remains beloved by the fan base. At just 5'6", Altuve defied the odds to become one of the best hitters of his generation. A 9-time All-Star and AL MVP in 2017, which he didn't deserve, but that's a topic for another video. Altuve was the heart of the Astros' transformation from 100 lost cellar dwellers to perennial contenders. His walk-off homer in the 2019 ALCS was another controversial part of his career, as there's been endless debate over if he cheated, but regardless, it helped cement his legacy in Houston. Texas Rangers, Adrian Beltre. Adrian Beltre is that rare blend of elite skill and lovable personality. He played with intensity, but also made fans laugh, whether it was pretending to hate being touched in the head, or actually I don't even know if he was pretending, or goofing off with Elvis Andrus. Beltre racked up 3,166 hits and 5 gold gloves, but it was his playful energy that made him a fan favorite. When he tipped his helmet mid-play or faked a tag to get a runner out, Rangers fans loved every second of it. He was the beating heart of those great 2010s teams, but unfortunately never won a World Series. Beltre was recently inducted into the Hall of Fame, and while he played for a few teams, he went in with a Texas Rangers hat on his plaque. I wasn't sure if I should maybe put Corey Seager here because he led the Rangers to their first World Series, but I just don't think he's been there long enough and he doesn't have the same off-the-field personality. Seattle Mariners, Ken Griffey Jr. This was one of the hardest choices of this video so far because it came down to either Griffey or Ichiro. Even Edgar Martinez has an argument. I ended up going with Griffey over the recent Hall of Famer just because of how much of an American icon he was. He wasn't just a popular Mariner or popular baseball player, he was one of the most popular athletes in America in the 90s. He stayed clean in an era where guys were eating a little too many balanced breakfasts and was competing with their home run numbers. He would end up leaving for Cincinnati to be closer to home, but would return to the Mariners at the end of his MLB tenure, which was a great way to finish off his legendary career. Oakland Athletics, we have Rickey Henderson. There's only one Rickey, and Oakland fans wouldn't want it any other way. The all-time leader in stolen bases with 1,406, runs with 2,295, and leadoff home runs with 81. The late, great Rickey Henderson was as electrifying as he was quotable. A hometown kid, Rickey played 4 stints with the A's, won the 1989 World Series, and became a symbol of the franchise. He talked like a superstar and played like a legend. There's so many stories about him, like how he didn't cash $1 million check just to display it. He was a great ball player, the best base runner of all time, and an even better person, and he will be missed. And to finish off the American League, we have the Los Angeles Angels with Mike Trout. While Shohei Ohtani may have captivated the world recently, Mike Trout is the homegrown hero Angels fans have adored for over a decade. A 3-time MVP with a blend of speed, power, and defense rarely seen in baseball history, Trout has been putting up inner circle Hall of Fame numbers on a team that has mostly struggled. Despite injuries and underwhelming team success, fans recognize his loyalty and humility, and they know they've been witnessing greatness, night after night. Trout's career is really sad as a whole due to him only ever being in 3 playoff games and having the past few years derailed by injury. He could have went anywhere he wanted and enjoyed playoff runs yearly if he went to teams like the Dodgers or the Yankees, but he chose to stay loyal and fans love him more for it. Atlanta Braves, Hank Aaron. Hank Aaron isn't just the most beloved Brave, he's one of the most revered figures in baseball history. Over 21 seasons with the franchise, Aaron put up legendary numbers. 755 home runs, which you could argue makes him the home run king if you don't count Barry Bonds, 3,771 hits, and 25 All-Star appearances. But his impact went far beyond stats. As he chased Babe Ruth's home run record, he faced relentless hate and death threats and still carried himself with unmatched dignity. When he hit number 715, it wasn't just a baseball milestone, it was a moment of national significance. Braves fans admired how great he was and how consistent he was, and how he always upheld himself with class. Even after retiring, he remained part of the organization and community, and the statue outside the ballpark and 755 Battery Avenue say it all. Hank Aaron wasn't just a baseball legend, he was the heart of the Braves. New York Mets, David Wright. Wright wasn't just the captain, he was the heart and soul of the Mets in the 2000s and early 2010s. From his debut in 2004 to his emotional farewell in 2018 due to spinal stenosis, Wright played with class and grit, even as injuries robbed him of a longer career. A 7-time All-Star and 2-time Gold Glover, he led by example and always said the right things, even when the team struggled. His final at-bat in a packed City Field was one of the most emotional moments in franchise history. Even as a Yankees fan, I always liked David Wright. Philadelphia Phillies, Mike Schmidt. Before Chase Utley and Ryan Howard, there was Michael Jack Schmidt. Widely considered the greatest third baseman in baseball history, Schmidt wasn't just a Philly legend, he was a baseball legend. Over 18 seasons, all with the Phillies, he hit 548 home runs, won 3 MVP awards, 10 Gold Gloves, and made 12 All-Star appearances. But what truly cements his place in Philly hearts is that he finally delivered the elusive World Series title in 1980, earning Series MVP in the process. Schmidt wasn't flashy in personality, and at times his relationship with the notorious tough Philly fans was rocky, but over time, respect turned to reverence. He was tough, consistent, and committed. His towering home runs, his defense at third, and his leadership on the field made him the face of the franchise. Miami Marlins, Jeff Conine. Also known as Mr. Marlin, Conine was there for the very beginning, quite literally, as he was selected in the 1992 expansion draft and quickly became the heart of the franchise. He made 2 All-Star appearances with the Marlins and played a pivotal role in both their World Series championships in '97 and 2003. He wasn't the flashiest player, but fans still loved him. He played multiple positions, served as a mentor, and returned to the team multiple times on the field and off, including as a front office figure and broadcaster. In a franchise often defined by turnover and trades, Conine is probably the most beloved player in the Marlins' rather short history. Washington Nationals, Ryan Zimmerman. Mr. National, drafted in 2005 as the team's first ever draft pick post-Montreal, Ryan Zimmerman embodied the Nationals' identity for over 15 seasons. He had walk-offs, clutch postseason hits, and was a leader throughout. When the team finally won the World Series in 2019, Zim's Game 1 home run felt like destiny fulfilled. Fans respected his patience, loyalty, and understated greatness. He was just a really underrated player in his career. He was also able to give the Washington fans a proper goodbye where you could see how much he meant to the city. And I'm just talking about the Nationals. For the Expos, you could say Andre Dawson, but I did decide to go with Ryan Zimmerman here just because, like I said, there is going to be some recency bias here. So maybe if you were around when Andre Dawson played, let me know in the comments. St. Louis Cardinals, Stan Musial. There's so many great Cardinals like Ozzie Smith, Albert Pujols, Yadier Molina, and so many more, but Stan the Man Musial was the gold standard of the Cardinals' greatness. Over 22 seasons, all with St. Louis, Musial collected 3,630 hits, won 3 MVP awards, and brought home 3 World Series championships. But it wasn't just what he did, it was how he did it. He was humble, gracious, and beloved by teammates and fans, even opponents. In a baseball town as passionate as St. Louis, being universally respected takes something special. To this day, he represents the heart and soul of the Cardinals, and you can make arguments about how he hasn't played in a long time, so maybe it should be a more recent player, and that's fine, but I'm just going with him here. And I know I've been going back and forth with recency bias and then some older players, and it just depends on the case-by-case basis. Like, it was really tough for me to decide between him and Albert Pujols, and I ended up just going with Stan Musial just because he was there his whole career. Albert Pujols did go back at the end, but he wasn't on the Cardinals for over a decade. Chicago Cubs, Ernie Banks. Let's Play 2, that iconic quote sums up Ernie Banks perfectly. Joyful, optimistic, and endlessly enthusiastic, Banks played his entire 19-year career with the Cubs, never once appearing in a postseason game, yet fans love him like he won 5 World Series. He hit over 500 home runs, and actually have this cool statuette celebrating his 500 home runs, and he won back-to-back MVPs. But it was his attitude that made him immortal in Wrigleyville. Mr. Cub is literally his nickname, so if that doesn't show how much he's beloved in Chicago, I don't know what else. Milwaukee Brewers, Robin Yount. Robin Yount came up to the big leagues at age 18, stuck with the Brewers for 20 seasons, and never looked back. He won 2 MVP awards, one as a shortstop, one as a center fielder, and played with consistent brilliance throughout the 1980s. Brewers fans loved his loyalty and his down-to-earth personality, and his role leading Milwaukee to its first and still only World Series appearance in 1982. Pittsburgh Pirates, Roberto Clemente. This is probably the easiest player to choose in this entire video. No player in baseball history blends athletic greatness with humanitarian legacy like Roberto Clemente. On the field, he was a 15-time All-Star, a 12-time Gold Glove winner, and a .317 career hitter. He led the Pirates to 2 championships and delivered countless clutch postseason performances. Off the field, he was a champion for Latin American communities, and he tragically died in a plane crash while delivering earthquake aid to Nicaragua while he was still playing, and had exactly 3,000 hits. While he's a legend in baseball in general, Pittsburgh loves him more than maybe any other fan base loves their favorite player. As someone who has spent a lot of time in Pittsburgh, there's a ton of murals of him, countless things named after him, including the Roberto Clemente Bridge, and a ton of things about him at PNC Park. Cincinnati Reds, Johnny Bench. One of the greatest catchers in baseball history, Johnny Bench was the cornerstone of the legendary Big Red Machine. He won 2 MVP awards, 10 Gold Gloves, and helped lead the Reds to back-to-back World Series championships in '75 and '76. But more than his stats, it was his leadership, toughness, and clutch play that made him so beloved in Cincinnati. Recently, Joey Votto also retired, and you might want to consider him the most beloved, but to each their own. And before I read off the NL West teams, please subscribe if you're enjoying this, as it really helps me out, and give this a like. Los Angeles Dodgers, Jackie Robinson. I really should say Brooklyn Dodgers since he didn't play in Los Angeles, but anyway, Jackie Robinson didn't just change the Dodgers, he changed the world. When he broke baseball's color barrier in 1947, he didn't just endure racism and hatred, he responded with excellence. Over 11 seasons, all with Brooklyn, he won Rookie of the Year, an MVP in 1949, and helped lead the Dodgers to 6 pennants and the 1955 World Series title. But his impact went far beyond baseball because he was a symbol of courage, dignity, and progress during one of the most turbulent eras in American history. And while Sandy Koufax may be the most idolized Dodger for his pitching brilliance, Jackie is the most revered. His number 42 is retired across all of baseball for a reason. San Francisco Giants, Willie Mays. The Say Hey Kid, arguably the greatest all-around player in MLB history, Willie Mays dazzled fans with his bat, his glove, and his effortless style. From his famous over-the-shoulder catch in the 1954 World Series to his 660 career home runs, Mays played the game with joy while being even greater off the field. Though he started in New York, he became a living legend in San Francisco, helping bridge generations of Giants fans. He recently passed away, and like with Rickey Henderson, the baseball world lost an icon and an all-time great. San Diego Padres, Tony Gwynn. Tony Gwynn wasn't just the face of the Padres, but easily the best Padre of all time. Over 20 seasons, he compiled 3,141 hits, a ridiculous 8 batting titles, and a .338 lifetime average. He also would probably hit 400 if the 1994 season wasn't shortened. But beyond the stats, fans loved his loyalty, humor, and local ties. He played college ball at San Diego State and never left the city. Gwynn turned down chances to leave for bigger markets and more money, choosing to stay with the Padres through thick and thin. Even though he's no longer with us physically, his spirit will live on forever in San Diego. Colorado Rockies, Todd Helton. Before there was Arenado or Tulowitzki, there was Todd Helton, a career .316 hitter with over 2,500 hits. Helton was the Rockies' most consistent and loyal star. He played all 17 seasons in Colorado, made 5 All-Star teams, and helped lead the 2007 team to its only World Series appearance. Rockies fans appreciated his leadership, his smooth glove at first base, and his decision to stay when others might have chased brighter lights. After 6 years, Todd Helton was also elected into Cooperstown, joining another great Rocky, Larry Walker, as the only true Rockies in the Hall of Fame. It's impossible to talk about the Diamondbacks without mentioning Luis Gonzalez's bloop single in Game 7 of the 2001 World Series. That hit off Mariano Rivera gave Arizona its first and only championship, and it made Gonzalez a legend overnight. But even before and after that moment, Gonzo was a steady force. A 5-time All-Star, a fan favorite, and a community figure, he stayed connected to the franchise post-retirement, and his number 20 is proudly retired in Phoenix. You could also argue Randy Johnson, as he was great for them and won 4 Cy Youngs, but you can't go wrong with either. And that's the video. I'm sure plenty of you disagreed. I'm not a fan of all of these teams, so I can just give my perspective on it. Some of you may disagree, and I'd love to hear who your favorite player is on your favorite team. If you did enjoy this video, which you probably did if you made it to the end, I'd appreciate liking, subscribing, and commenting, as it helps me out. I just started uploading again recently, and I could use any support. I'd also love to hear any suggestions for any videos, so please let me know in the comments. Thank you for watching Baseball Domain, and I'll see you next time.